Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Sri Mahavishnu, Jai Sanatana Sampradaya. The first and foremost priority in this incarnation is knowledge, pure knowledge, inculcation of pure elixir, inculcation of pure nectar called spiritual knowledge. The one and only target in this life is to inculcate the grandest pure spiritual knowledge, knowledge pertaining to my soul, knowledge pertaining to my spirit, knowledge pertaining to my true self or true I am. Each and every single modus operandi, methodology, the lifestyle of the true I am should be adopted by my brain. That is why I proclaim that the one and only target of this life is nurturing my neurological brain with true truth, the true spiritual knowledge. With this beautiful invocation, I invite each and every sincere aspirant for this spiritual discourse. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Yes, my dear aspirants, yesterday in the previous episode, we have sufficiently understood the insight of Sloka number 3 and 4. Today, the current topic is chapter number 5, Sloka number 4. But at this juncture, I want you to remind you the nucleus of this particular chapter. This particular chapter, the so-called Brahma Nirvana Yoga, or the pure uncontaminated God, the unification with the true and uncontaminated God. The title of this beautiful chapter is Brahma Nirvana Yoga. Brahma Nirvana means the God so pure, so perfect, uncontaminated, impeccable. That divinity, that beautiful state, unification with that beautiful state. That is the very title of this beautiful chapter. And this grandest chapter comprises of 29 slokas. If you analyze thoroughly these 29 slokas, you arrange this beautiful chapter into two integral parts. One part starts from sloka number 1 to 13. Another part starts from sloka number 14 to 29. The synopsis or the nucleus of first integral part, which starts from sloka number 1 to 13, is simply one thing. However, terms you may use. You may use terms as per your convenience. Sometimes you are calling this beautiful knowledge as Sankhya. Sometimes you are calling this beautiful knowledge as Yoga. Sometimes you are calling this beautiful knowledge as Jnana Yoga. All these are the same words covering, all these words are all these different words are covering the same concept. And you are calling it as, and one more thing is the another path, the human beings are under of opinion that there are two paths. The Arjuna is of the opinion that there are two paths. From the point of view of Arjuna, there are two paths. There are two separate paths. My dear aspirants, from the point of view of Arjuna, there are two different paths. One path is Sankhya or Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. And there is another path, another way, which is quite contra to the first way. That is Sannyasa Yoga. That is Karma Yoga. Am I clear? And Lord Sri Krishna, from sloka number 3 to 13, the one and only attempt is to clarify that these two are not separate paths. They both are one and the same. Yoga includes, Jnana Yoga includes Karma Yoga, or Karma Yoga includes Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Okay, na? So, all the 13 slokas, the crux of all the 13 slokas is one and the same. To clarify human being that these two are not two different individual paths. They are all integral parts. Yoga includes Karma, Jnana Yoga includes Karma Yoga, and Karma Yoga includes Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Again, I am making it very clear, my dear aspirants. The one and only attempt made by Lord Sri Krishna through Arjuna is to give a clarification to entire humanity. The humanity is so confused. The humanity is so confused. It's like a mess. They have created a chaos by misunderstanding that there are two different paths. One path is Jnana Yoga, the other path is Karma Yoga. Lord Sri Krishna emphasizes that no, Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga are one and the same. Jnana Yoga includes Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga includes Jnana Yoga. They both are integral parts of one beautiful scripture called spirituality. Again, now Arjuna raised the same doubt very cleverly but used different words. The doubt is the same, but he used different words. Now in a different way he has posed the same question. Now he says there are two paths. One is Karma Yoga and the another is Karma Sannyasa Yoga. He was under belief that he was made to believe by the religious humanity that there are two different paths. One path is Karma Yoga, the other path is Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Lord Sri Krishna categorically makes it very clear from sloka number 1 to 13. Oh human being, don't be under ignorance. They both are not two separate paths. Karma Yoga or the Karma Sannyasa Yoga, they both are integral parts of spirituality. Karma Yoga includes Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Karma Sannyasa Yoga includes Karma Yoga. My dear aspirants, I just want to make it very clear. Again, I am emphasizing to all my dear, beautiful aspirants, sincere aspirants, I bow my head very sincerely at your lotus feet and I love you. Yes, I am in love with you because I love your sincerity. I love your choice because you chose Advaita. I am making it very clear, my dear aspirants, especially at this juncture. You got to realize that the so-called Karma Yoga, the so-called Karma Sannyasa Yoga, they are not two different paths. They both are one and the same. Yoga includes sannyasa, sannyasa includes yoga. With one small example, I am just going to clarify you. For suppose, one particular room is filled with darkness for eons together. There is no rays of light. There is no ray of light. It is loaded with darkness for eons together. For suppose, all of a sudden, the grandest sunlight or the grandest light, the brightness of light, has begun to occupy that room. When that room is loaded with the beautiful sunrise or the brightness, naturally the darkness gets discarded. No. Again, you need not perform any deed to get rid of the darkness which has occupied the room. They both are one and the same, no? Once the room is filled with light, the moment the room is filled with light, at the same moment, the room discards the darkness. In the same way, when once an aspirant realizes that he is God, when once an aspirant realizes the grand performance, miraculous performance, mystical performance, majestic performances of God, naturally he will realize that the so-called tendencies of humanity have nothing to do with original consciousness. Realizing that I am God, realizing that the divine qualities are my innate consciousness itself is yoga. And also, the moment he realizes, naturally he will also realize, discriminate that the so-called tendencies of humanity, they have nothing to do with my innate consciousness. That realization itself is sannyasa. So yoga itself is sannyasa. The true yoga, the true yogic nature, if you are a sincere aspirant, if you are enriched with spiritual knowledge, the analogical mind, when there is a unification between Jivatma, Paramatma and Atma, when you have an introspection, when you had a true contemplation, when you understood that you are a God, when you have realized that you are existing from eons together, when you understood that you are not the creation but you are the creator, with your own creative inherent energy, you have created this universe. You wanted to experience your creation and accordingly you have prepared this embodiment. You are a God embodied into an embodiment. When this clarification is there, naturally you'll realize that the so-called tendencies, these tendencies have nothing to do with your original consciousness. That is the crux of this 13 slokas. So now, with this introduction, let us shift our gears to sloka number 5, chapter number 5, verse number 4. Yes, boss. Sloka number, chapter number 5, verse number 5. Yes. Because on the other day, in the previous episode, I have already given you sufficient knowledge of sloka number 3 and 4. So today, the current topic is chapter number 5, sloka number 5. Yes.
Yat sankhyaih prapyate sthanam tadyogairapi gamyate. Ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati.
See, for that, from the point of view of Yadathadam, Bhagavad Geetha as it is, from the point of view of Mr. Sri Prabhupada, it is like this. One who knows that the position reached by means of an analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. The irony is, from his point of view, Karma Yoga is analytical study. The irony is, from the point of view of Sri Prabhupada, the learned spiritual being, Karma Yoga is analytical study. Yoga or Karma Yoga or Sankhya. Sankhya or Yoga or Karma Yoga is analytical study. Surprisingly, Sannyasa or Karma Yoga All these are devotional service. I strongly differ with his opinion. Lord Sri Krishna has never ever uttered the word devotional service. Again, I am making it very clear. Yoga, Sankhya, Karma Yoga means having an unification with our original consciousness. The lower merging with ultimate. The lower having a unification with ultimate. The Mooladhara having an unification with Sahasrara. What is yoga? Yoga is not only a merger, but the merger of the lowest with the ultimate, utmost. Jiva, the merger of Jivatma with the Paramatma is called as yoga, or that dimension which reconciliates all the differences between Jivatma and Paramatma, and that realization that they both are not too different, they both are one and the same. That prism, that point of view, that realization of the truth is called as yoga, karma yoga, or Sankhya. And another thing is karma sannyasa or karma yoga. And from the point of view of Sri Prabhupada, he is of the opinion that karma yoga is devotional service. It's not like that. It's not. I differ with him. I have already given my dimension. I have already given my insight of this beautiful 13 slokas. So, from my point of view, the moment I happen to have a vision of this particular sloka, it appeared, the insight has appeared like this from my point of view. From my point of view, I am of the opinion that Lord Sri Krishna is teaching this. Yes, sir. Already, చాలా అక్కడ నువ్వు తిప్పేసి నాకు కనిపిస్తా, చాలా నించండి, చాలా తిప్పద్దండి, అది సరిపోయింది. The insight of chapter number 5, verse number 5, from my dimension is like this. Already we have sufficiently learned that the grandest spiritual path is complied with two integral parts. Already we have sufficiently learned that the grandest spiritual path is complied of two integral parts. Is complied of two integral parts. Okay, it is not with, but it is of. Already we have sufficiently learned that the grandest spiritual path is complied of two integral parts. Okay. Next, the so-called Jnana Yoga includes Karma Yoga. The so-called Jnana Yoga includes Karma Yoga. And the so-called Yoga includes Sannyasa. Because chapter number 3, the doubt raised by Arjuna, the terms used by Arjuna is Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Now he has used the word is Yoga and Sannyasa. That is why I have mentioned all the terms. The so-called Jnana Yoga includes Karma Yoga, and the so-called Yoga includes Sannyasa. Okay? And the so-called Yoga includes Sannyasa. And the Sannyasa includes Yoga. In the same way, the Paramatma is captivated within Jivatma, and Jivatma is captivated within Paramatma. In the same way. It is like Panchikarana. When a room is, I am just giving a beautiful example. When a room is filled, see, my dear aspirants, my dear aspirants, just suspend all these words from your thinking pattern. Just discard all the words, all the terminology used by Arjuna, like Sankhya, like Sankhya Yoga, Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Also, please discard Sannyasam, Karma Sannyasa, or Karma Yoga. Just discard all these terms which are being used by, not by Krishna, but discovered by Arjuna. Small example I have made, small example I have quoted. See, when a room is filled with darkness for eons together, when the rays of bright light enter into that room, or when the room is filled with bright light, by default, the darkness gets discarded on its own. Again, there is no need to discard the darkness by performing a deed separately. The moment the brightness enters into the darkness, the moment the brightness occupies the room, the darkness by default gets discarded. In the same way, when one realizes that he is God, the so-called yoga happens, and the tendencies of humanity gets discarded on its own. That itself is sannyasa. Realizing that I am God, realizing that those divine miraculous performances belong to me, itself is yoga. Realizing that these tendencies have nothing to do with my innate consciousness, itself is sannyasa. So sannyasa is not a deed, but it is the natural outcome of yoga. In the same way, when one realizes that he is God, the so-called yoga happens. The tendencies of humanity gets discarded on its own. That itself is sannyasa. Okay? So sannyasa is not a deed, but it is the natural outcome of yoga. Sannyasa is not a deed which should be executed or which should be performed by an aspirant, but it is the natural outcome of inculcation of spiritual knowledge, the so-called yoga, or the unification of God within, or the merging with the soul, or having a unification with the highest ultimate spirit. That is why in this particular verse, Lord Sri Krishna emphasizes once again that the sannyasa and the yoga, or karma yoga or sannyasa, are one and the same. Are one and the same. The end result of both these practices, of both these paths, is one and the same. Of both these paths is one and the same. The end result of both these paths is one and the same. In the second phrase of the same verse, Lord Sri Krishna has categorically. So, my explanation, this is my explanation for the first part of the sloka, Purvarth. Now Uttararth, coming to the second part of the beautiful sloka. In the second phrase of the same verse, Lord Sri Krishna has categorically made it very clear that dimension which does not discriminate between Sankhyam and Yoga, or Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyasa, and one who realizes that they both are one and the same, only that dimension can be considered as true dimension. Telugulo రాయమా శ్లోకం అయితే నాకు బుక్ పశ్చతి న సపశ్చతి. Because yogam ekam paschati sa cha paschati. He has made it very clear. Sankhyam cha yogam. Sankhyam cha yogam. Ekam. Sankhyam cha yogam ekam. Paschati sa cha paschati. When an aspirant has successfully understood that the so-called yoga and the so-called renunciation, the both are one and the same? Or when an aspirant is successful and has realized it, that the so-called karma yoga and karma sannyasa are one and the same? Or when an aspirant has reconciled all the differences between jnana yoga and karma yoga and has understood that they both are one and the same, only that dimension can be understood as the true dimension. All the other dimensions which keep on arguing that the karma yoga is different, karma sannyasa is different, that is only the dimension of a blind person. That is only the discovery of the blind person. That is only the description of a blind person about a beautiful woman. See how a blind person can describe, forget about a woman, a scenario. I mean, just visualize a scenario in which a blind person keeps on describing the scenic beauty. Just visualize a scenario in which the blind person is describing the scenic beauty of a particular place. So, at least I appeal to my sincere aspirants, my students, please discard all the concepts, topics, words, titles, which will ultimately confuse you. Discard these 4 words: karma yoga, karma sannyasa. Please discard. Throw it into dustbin. Jnana yoga, karma yoga, just throw into dustbin. Just understand one thing: unification with God within. And discarding the tendencies of humanity. Simply one thing: having a unification with God within and realizing that miraculous performances of God within, they are my innate consciousness. At the same time, realize that everything which are not the grandest miraculous performances of God, or which are not the qualities of God, have nothing to do with have nothing to do with me. They are all tendencies. That's it. That's it. Okay? Yes. So my dear aspirants, finally, again, I'm the nectar, the nucleus, I'm making it very clear. The first and foremost realization should be, I am God. The second realization should be the grandness of the God, or the qualities of the God. In the sense, like, I am not limited to this top to toe. I exist in each and every inch of the universe. I am a forever being. My innate consciousness is creative inherent energy. From my point of view, all are one and the same. That dimension, that prism. Okay? That's the third thing is, I am endowed with all those beautiful miraculous performances of God. The fourth thing is, because of the inability of my neurological brain, because of the inability of my sensory organs, the sensory organs and the brain, they are not able to substantiate my divinity and my miraculous performances. And finally, the tendencies or any quality which is not covered by my divine quality, they have nothing to do with me. They have nothing to do with me. That itself is the grandest, beautiful teaching of the enlightened being, the grandest master teacher, beautiful teacher, Krishna. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Sri Mahavishnu. For today, I am ending this session here. In another episode with more grandest, beautiful spiritual knowledge. I will meet you. I wish you a beautiful, grandest spiritual success. And again, I emphasize that the true treasure of a human being is a realization of his divinity. The true treasure of a human being is a realization of his divinity. Viewing the life from the point of view of your foreverness, viewing the life from the point of view of your soul, viewing the life from the point of view of your spirit, realizing at every juncture that the so-called humanity is only an adventure made by the God, and the so-called embodiment is only a vehicle. Okay? Namaskar. Jayastu. Swasti.